We breathe, we see, we hear, and we speak. It just happens. No one teaches us to do any of these things. It seems like it's second nature, something we were just built to do. Hazy Hour on CamFM. Welcome to the Hazy Hour again this week, guys, after a very long break. Today's show is going to be slightly different than usual. For starters, I'm not in the studio today, and if you're hearing this live, then I'm currently in a mock exam. Not fun. Because of this, I won't be able to see any messages on the online CamFM web form, but I would still love to hear your thoughts and opinions on any of the topics discussed. So you can reach me as usual via Instagram, that's at the Hazy Hour with a double R, or by text or any way that suits you. Secondly, the format of today's show is also very different, with a focus on a newer, more podcast style, rather than the usual chat and music type. But more about this at the end. Let's get on to the show. Much like breathing and thinking, our native language is something we often take for granted. It characterises the thoughts we have in our mind and grants us the ability to vocalise them to the whole world. It's something we do fluently, almost perfectly. And because of this, we rarely take the time to reflect upon how we got to this stage and how it's impacted our identity. Today, we're going to be talking about the miracles of our mother tongue, specifically my heritage language, Bengali. Bengali, a beautiful and rich language, forever stained in its roots from the blood of its martyrs. Once faced with the threat of forced extinction, and now thriving as the sixth most spoken native language in the world, the language and its people have experienced a painful history. We find ourselves in East Pakistan in 1948, after the partition of India by the British Empire. Divisions are rife between religions, ethnicities, and most importantly, language.
Let me make it very clear to you, and leave no doubt, that the state language of Pakistan is going to be Urdu and no other language.
I spoke to Rubaiat Sharmin Jhara, a Bengali actress and choreographer, to learn more about how this political context gave birth to the Bengali language movement and how it shaped the trajectory of the language.
The language movement is one of the most important events of our Bangladeshi culture. This was the first step towards the growth of Bangladeshi nationalism and for a unique and separate identity as a Bangladeshi. After the creation of Pakistan from 1948 to 21st February 1952, the movement in East Pakistan to make Bengali or Bangla one of the state languages of Pakistan was called the language movement. Subsequently, the students of Dhaka University and Dhaka Medical College took a strong stand for the language movement and made an important decision, and on February 21st in 1952, denied the will of the politicians to violate Section 144. At 3:30 p.m. on the orders of the police magistrate, policemen opened fire on a peaceful procession of students. Barkat, Rafiq, Jabbar, Shafir and Salam, among others, dedicated their precious young lives to the protection and preservation of their mother tongue, Bangla. This movement finally ended in 1956 with the adoption of Bangla as one of the state languages of Pakistan. The language movement is an integral part of our Bengali or Bangla history. If we did not have this language movement, then we would have spoken in Urdu. Can we as Bangladeshis ever think that we'll speak Urdu and not have any native language of our own? We cannot address our mother in her own language, so the language movement has given us everything. It gave our lives meaning, pride, and satisfaction.
It's quite eye-opening, seeing the extent that people went to preserve their mother tongue. As I mentioned before, our language is usually something we take for granted and don't really pay much attention to. It's just another part of our human package. But the fact that students were killed and died in the cause of their mother tongue really demonstrates how intrinsically connected language and identity are, and we don't notice it on a day-to-day basis. They wanted our language to be erased because they knew it would erase our Bengali culture with it. Identity is stripped once its language has disappeared. And of course, the thing that I feel connects both language and identity the most is music. Each culture has its own instruments and rhythms, and each language complements that with their lyrics and stories. And it's not the Hazy Hour without some music, so I've gathered a collection of songs from guests and listeners that they feel encapsulates their cultural identity. If you'd like to contribute to this conversation too, then please reach out to me via Instagram, that's at the Hazy Hour with a double R, or any other way, and we can discuss your suggestions in the next episode. But first, back to Jhara with her suggestion.
Yes, the song Dijendralal Roy's timeless classic, the iconic Dhano Dhanno Pushpo Bhara, represents Bangladesh in a very unique way. Dhano Dhanno Pushpo Bhara, for its truth, beauty, and sense of joy, has always been a part of traditional Bengali music celebrating Bangla Bhasha.
Of course, regardless of which country or culture you're from, the one song that will probably come to mind when thinking about language and identity is probably your national anthem, and Bangla is no exception to that. The Bangladesh national anthem was written by the renowned Nobel Prize-winning poet Rabindranath Tagore in 1905 in response to the first partition of Bengal. In 1971, it became the national anthem.
লাখো কণ্ঠে গাইব বিশ্ব রেকর্ড গর্ব শুরু হলো।
The goal of the national anthem is to create a sense of unity, belonging, and patriotism, which the Bengali anthem does extremely well. The name, Amar Sona Bangla, meaning My Golden Bengal, and its lyrics encapsulate the natural beauty of the country. You are currently hearing a rendition of the national anthem sung in 2014 by over 250,000 Bengalis to celebrate Shadinoto Dibosh, Bangladesh's Independence Day, which broke the Guinness World Record for the most people singing a national anthem simultaneously. My memories of the Bengali national anthem come from my village in Bangladesh, Sonamuki, where my cousins and aunts would gather around to teach me the lyrics. Though at the time I never really fully understood what the song was saying, I've always had a deep appreciation for the song, and as the years go by and my Bengali improves, I feel more and more connected with the message of the song. Another experience that made me reflect on the national anthem was hearing a rendition of it by a band called Kyo. A gorgeous take on the original, featuring Western instruments while still retaining the beauty and atmosphere of the song. And we're lucky enough here today on the show to interview the lead singer of the band, Sohini about this cover and what the language movement means to her. First, let's hear the song. This is Amar Sonar Bangla by Kyo.
শোভা কি ছায়া গো কি স্নেহ কি মায়া গো কি আঁচল বিছায়েছ বটের মূলে নদীর কূলে কূলে মা তোর সোনার বাংলা ভাসি সোনার বাংলা আমি তোমায় ভালোবাসি
I asked Sohini about the process of making this song and the reception it received when it got released.
With Amar Shonar Bangla, Ollie Weeks and I, we'd started this band Keo with Ben Hartland, and we wanted to put something out, wanted to put out a track to familiarize people with our sound, because we felt like it was something that hadn't been explored before, that kind of Western classical meets rock meets Bangla music kind of sound. And when we made the audio track, Ollie and I had been working on the music for a play with Lisa Appa and Lisa Ghazi. She writes all our original lyrics. And when we'd been working on that play, she'd asked us to start Amar Shonar Bangla from the middle. And we really liked the way it worked musically. And so we decided that we were going to do the full version of the song, even though that wasn't required for that particular event. And we started from the middle, and then musically it just made sense for us to work our way to the end and then go back to the beginning and finish in the middle, if you will. So that's how the structural arrangement of it came about and how we ended up starting to work on it. And once we had it together, we thought, it was just something we really enjoyed and we really loved. And we thought that it was a really good way to introduce ourselves to the world. So we put out this audio in March 2012, I believe. And it got so much more response than we thought it would on SoundCloud. But then when we put out a video, so that happened because Shahriar Rahman, the director of the video, he heard the audio and he got in touch and said he would really like to make a video. And we were like, well, we don't really have a budget for a video. And he said, I don't need a budget, I'll figure it out, which I thought was crazy. But he did. He came and he figured it out. And we wanted to keep it really simple because of the lack of budget and also because, we're just not that kind of band. We wanted to just make it a very simple and honest thing. And when we put out the video in December of 2012, and then in January of 2013, when all the newspaper articles started coming out about it, that was crazy. That's basically how Amar Shonar Bangla became a thing. Everyone started listening to it and asking other people about their opinions and so on. So is music a good medium to preserve and transmit a language to future generations? I believe so. I mean, I have to believe that because I grew up learning Bangla music. My first language of speech is English, but my first language of music is Bangla. So my mum was able to successfully preserve and transmit Bangla to me through music. So I'd like to believe that that's possible for other people. Whether it will continue in the same way, I doubt, because, for example, we saw that with Amar Shonar Bangla video that got so much more attention than the audio, even though the audio is doing great. So it really depends. It's not the only medium, perhaps not the most effective, I don't know, but certainly a hugely important medium and one that I believe in. To explain what the language movement means to me would take a while and a lot of thought, but off the top of my head, it's an event that provided me with the opportunity to be able to speak, not only speak my language, but also sing in my language. It has shaped my entire career and my life. So that sacrifice was a huge event. Not just for me, for Bengalis worldwide, I would say. We're very proud of our language and our poetry and our cultures.
As Sohini mentioned, music can be a powerful tool to transmit language to the next generation, but it can also serve as a very important tool in storytelling and documenting events. As we learned earlier, on the 21st of February 1952, people were martyred for their language. The song, Ekushey February, meaning 21st of February, is a significant song that symbolises the language movement and the pain of the nation. আমার ভাইয়ের রক্তে রঙানো 21শে ফেব্রুয়ারি আমি কি ভুলতে পারি, meaning my brother's blood splattered on the 21st of February. How can I ever forget this? The language movement has moved beyond Bangladesh since 1952. In 1999, UNESCO established 21st of February as International Mother Language Day, a day to observe multiculturalism and preserve endangered languages. Every 2 weeks, a language disappears, and with it, disappears a whole cultural heritage. The songs you've heard today, Tana Tanya Pushpapara, Ekushey February, and the national anthem, will continue to be passed from generation to generation, thanks to the strong cultural connections our language provides us with, as well as bands like Kyo, making Bengali culture accessible to a wider audience through fusion.
Being able to celebrate that and knowing that we have International Mother Language Day because of the sacrifices of Salam, Borkot and the rest of the language movement martyrs is a huge thing.
According to the UNESCO survey, Bangla has been voted by people as the sweetest language in the world. I am proud to speak in Bangla and be a Bangladeshi. আমি বাঙালি এবং বাংলা আমার মাতৃভাষা, তাই আমি গর্বিত।
The Hazy Hour on CamFM. And that was the first Hazy Hour of Easter term. I hope you all enjoyed, learned something new, and found something to reflect upon in this episode. Making the show today was extremely enjoyable, but also extremely challenging, because I've never really done a podcast style thing before, but I've learned a lot on the journey, from script writing to interviewing others, so it's been a really valuable experience. Obviously, because this is something completely new, I'd love to hear your thoughts in this episode, what you liked, what you didn't like about it, and if there's anything you'd like to contribute to this topic, you can contact me via the usual mediums. The inspiration from this episode arose from a number of events. The first was having the opportunity to represent the Cambridge University Bangla Society at the House of Commons for International Mother Language Day, where I did a speech about my personal relationship with the language and what the movement means to me. The other was having watched a theatre production of The Indigo Giant by the Komala Collective, which Sohini who features in this episode, did the music for. And it was such an amazing show, and it reminded me of the richness of the Bengali arts and culture, which I felt like I needed to explore more once I got out the theatre. I've tried to condense the show into half an hour because obviously there's so much information that I needed to explain, but also it was quite a lot of effort editing, and I'm not sure if I have the capacity yet to go up to an hour. But because of that, there were also so many things that I haven't been able to include. Naturally, as a linguistics student, I did want to explore the language acquisition side of mother tongue, and also the linguistic implications of language and identity. And I also interviewed some listeners of the show about music that encapsulates their heritage. I do want to release these at some point, so if any of these topics interest you, then please let me know and I'll work up on a follow-up episode from this. Finally, I'd like to give a huge thank you to my amazing guests, Rubaiat, Sharmin, Jhara, and Sohini Alam for their time and insight into the Bengali language movement. Their words have inspired me a lot, and I hope it has for you too. Though this episode is releasing 2 months after International Mother Language Day, its message is an important reminder regardless of the day. Thank you for listening to this episode. Ekushey February, the plight of the Bengali language immortalized in music. The music featured in today's episode has been an instrumental cover of Ki Gabo Abi Ki Shunaibo, Thawanilo Afhan by Batok Nandi, Thana Dhanya Pushpapara by Divijendra Roy, Amar Shonar Bangla by Kia, Barikache Arshinogor by Kia, Ekushey February, and a small little Amar Shonar Bangla motif by me, Hazy Sophia. Thank you for listening.